caught in the middle of a vast conspiracy. We faced Tiamat, the bat, the giant crab that dwelled in the subway, the Griever, Silitha the spider, the Stygian worm, and well, I've gone through as much of the game as possible to collect as many of the hidden items as I could. Not all the health and wrath. Well, I get all the health. Couldn't get all the wrath, unfortunately, but got all the artifacts. Got every weapon, including the abyssal armor. And, well, other than one botched and bugged chest that I missed and can't get unless I start a new game, well, we pretty much have done everything. So all that's left is to take the shards of the Armageddon blade, which we found a bunch of, and get Ulfane to reforge the sword, and we'll have our means of killing Abaddon, the angel who, out of his arrogance, completely hastened the coming of Armageddon, with help, of course, from some hellish forces that took advantage of the situation. We've got Nomi Gay's powers, and we'll see him in another game at some point, very much likely. And we have Azrael, the Angel of Death himself, also on our side, who has admitted how wrong he was to go along with all this. And we've learned that the Destroyer is not just some random demon that usurped Samael's rank, but is in fact Abaddon, who upon losing, getting his ass soundly kicked, fell from grace and became a demon himself called the Destroyer. And, little bit of a fun fact, I already knew this, but I went and double-checked just in case. Yeah, Abaddon, the Destroyer, that is very, very fitting of a title, because Abaddon is the name of a demon or a black pit in Judeo-Christian mythology, like Tartarus or something to that extent. And in its Greek form, Apollyon, it literally translates to destroyer. So, Abaddon the Destroyer. How fitting of a name and title for a fallen angel who has, for all intents and purposes, screwed over everyone. Except to benefit hell, of course. So yeah, we're in the final stretch. Not much else to do at this point now.
Good to see you again, horseman.
Yes. Let me check my equipment. Do I honestly need anything? I don't need the Void Walker anymore, so I'm gonna switch to that. How many souls do I have to come to think of it? 1,063. Yeah, I can't upgrade any of my wrath abilities. I never bothered upgrading any of them. I should have, probably. But I never got the chance to. I was so busy getting all my other moves. Weapons. I probably should not have bothered with getting the Harvester. 5,000 frickin' cash. I probably should have just kept the regular one, but it is what it is. At least we got it, so. Talk to Ulfane. The Armageddon blade.
My greatest work. Until now.
Reforge it like Narsil was reforged into Anduil in Lord of the Rings. I love the comic book transitions in the game. Well, pseudo-comic book transitions. Assault of the Black Throne. Ultimate Blade trophy.
Good to see you again, horseman.
That's it. Armageddon Blade, reforged by Ulthane. The blade is the only weapon powerful enough to slay the destroyer. So it's basically to this what the Blade of Olympus is to God of War. Only, in my opinion, it looks a bit cooler. I really love how the sword looks. I love how everything in the game looks. I think I've commented on that already, but still. How much you want to bet we're going to be using the Armageddon Blade in the, well, not the third game, and definitely not going to be the fourth, but I predict they're going to do 2 more games for each horseman. Fury, who's coming up soon, Strife for the next game, and then finally the 5th and big finale game where we get all the horsemen. That's what I'm predicting. And that there's gonna be a big stink with Lucifer, since he's makes a brief voiced cameo in the end of the second game, if I remember correctly.
What would you ask of this humble merchant?
We're gonna... create your life. That's what we did the last time. I don't know if I ever commented on it, but I really love War's dialogue. He's serious and to the point, and he means what he says. Like when he says stuff like in the Colosseum area where the rider who had War's horse ruined was like, "You look a little short down there, horseman," and War's like, "You can look me in the eye when I kill you." Yeah, that is not a threat, that is a promise. That is some Eastwood style dialogue right there, and I love it.
What would you ask of this humble merchant?
Let's ride, everyone.
already? We wouldn't want to keep Abaddon waiting.
Oh, I forgot. That Mask of Shadow. That mask looks awesome. Let's go, Azrael.
It's Abaddon. Uriel has led the Hellguard against him. It is as you foretold. The Hellguard will fall.
Angel of Death, serve me one last time.
Oh, they're putting up a decent fight at last. Hello
She
again.
mistook me for someone else. She loved him, and I believe that he loved her. Long ago, before all this. Foolishly, he chose duty above all, and died for it. Will you do the same? Heaven hunts you. Hell hates you. All of creation cares not whether you live or die. Join me, war. Like a great sword, I will raise you up, and our enemies will shatter against us. The spoils of 1,000 victories. Or serve the justice of a corrupt council. And a creator abandons his most faithful. I offer you this choice, horseman. Would you serve in heaven, rule in hell?
Together we will rule the galaxy.
I choose what once the cowards did not.
Mic drop. I love the voice acting. Right. Oh, camera's shaking all over the place. Ah, he hit me. bolt form with black wings.
The Armageddon blade! This will be interesting. You have forced my hand. You have forced my hand.
Awesome.
It's now! Only one blade.
That's it.
You have taught me something, Abaddon. Sometimes duty must be cast aside to do what must be done. It is not for duty that I kill you now.
Oh. Ripped both his wings off.
Uriel. Reap what you have sown, betrayer.
The seventh seal.
You had to know it was a one-way ticket.
Council.
They knew you'd never play executioner because of your precious honor. They let you take the fall. They knew you'd butcher everyone involved to clear your name. And you did.
No!
Patience, whore. I've got some for you, too. I'll take that. If it were to get broken, you might get ideas. Like not going back in your little cage. It's tragic, really. You had freedom in the palm of your hand, and you lost it. What's so damn funny? Even you wouldn't laugh at your own funeral.
I'm laughing at yours.
Next sacramentum. The death oath is complete.
do?
He wanted it to happen.
No! I'm going to pull your guts out through your halo! Keep getting up. I'll just kill you again. I was just following orders, like you. What are you going to do? Fight the council? Fight everyone? You'll never get away. You hear me? Never! Don't forget who holds the leash.
I haven't forgotten.
Sorry, Luke.
You knew what would happen here, what I would do. That's why you spared me.
No.
Then why?
Because I would not have the last of heaven's honor die with its champion.
All debts are repaid. The duty I uphold, it may call me to raise my sword against you. And if that day comes, I won't hesitate. You will be hunted. The White City for certain. The Council, and there will be others. You would wage this war alone?
No. Not alone.
The horsemen cometh. Death, fury, and strife. And that is it. That is the original Darksiders. Ah, Joe Madureira, I hope you come back in the future for the series. Well, what else could I possibly say about this game other than reiterate what I've already said here and there? Well, oh, great music. Well, start with, it holds up really well, even for a game that was released 8 years ago. And yeah, the first Darksiders, this game, it impressed me way back then. Is it one of the most original games in the world? Gameplay-wise? I wouldn't say no. But it is original in what it tries to attempt with, you know, its world. You know, 4 horsemen, the apocalypse, a dark fantasy-based biblical adventure, sort of. Demons, angels, and it does a lot of things right. I hate comparing it to God of War, but but it does do what that series did. It does do to Jewish and Christian folklore and mythology what, you know, the war games have done with, you know, Greek and most recently Norse mythology. And I really love the story of the first game. It is solid. It is very, very solid. It takes the, you know, the standard revenge plot that we've seen a million times, but does some more with it. Oh, Joe Madureira, please come back from the story and script and direction, please, I beg you. Yeah, it's not just a standard revenge tale. There's a bit more thrown in there. I mean, we've seen revenge tales many, many times. From this to, of course, God of War to Ninja Gaiden, which is another favorite of mine. But it's not just too straightforward. it's nuanced with a lot of extra lore and stuff here and there to give more character, but without being overcomplicated. And that's what I like about it. That's what I mean when I say solid. It does everything in equal shares well. I really love the characters. There is not one character in the game that I could say is bad or unfun. I love pretty much every one of them. War, I love for his stoic, no-nonsense demeanor. He's like, yeah, it's like when he says what he means, and when he means it, he does it. Volgrim, Ulfane, even who else? Azrael, Samael, most definitely. I love him every chance he comes up. And I love the voice acting in this game. I cannot praise it enough. It's very underappreciated. Every character sounds on point and right. I love Liam O'Brien. He does his voice acting for warrior characters so well. He really does. I like the guy that they got for Azrael. I heard him voice background in Dead Space 3, I think. I knew his voice upon hearing it within 2 seconds. Even Troy Baker does a good voice for Abaddon the Destroyer. As overdone as I think he is. But overall, a mix of both familiar and unknown voice acting, I think. As far as I know, anyway. I'm not fully expertised on the cast, but the voice acting, for all intents and purposes, looks great and well edited, and even the demon... Oh, and I love that, the guy who in that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Commando, voices Samael. He's perfect. And the fact that they even got Mark Hamill himself involved to play the Watcher with that Joker voice of his... Yeah, that's just an extra icing on the cake. The music I really do like, too. I wouldn't exactly call it on the most memorable listen list, like, say, your Halos, or Space Marines, or God of Wars, or even Devil May Cry's even, but it does the job. It has a nice epic feel to it. And and there are a few that I can name off the top of my head as good bits, like the aerial chase with the Griffin. Visually, the game looks great. I love its quasi-comic book art style with how everything flows. Everything flows very well. If I recall correctly, there's a New Game Plus. I might go back to credits just so that way it's the music, if it gets too loud, doesn't get in the way. I'll see if it works. Yeah, I'll do that. So that way the music is softer. Yeah, the visuals look very good. They still hold up very well. Everything flows well. And even though it's not really much of an improvement, I do appreciate that the Warmastered edition has a 60 frames per second, 1080p frame rate. It does move much faster and more fluid than it did in the original PS3 360 release. It really does. The enemy variety is very good too, from the angels to the demons and various other things, and there are some good. And I like that they add extra variety by not just be skinning them, but having them have, like new moves for new versions of existing enemies. They don't just, they don't just reintroduce the same one over and over again. They actually do stuff with them. And as for the gameplay, the gameplay still holds up remarkably well. This is a very, very good Legend of Zelda type game. Having played more recently Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess, I would say that Darksiders did an admirable attempt at not only basing its gameplay around the Zelda formula, but to an extent, even, either way you look at it, advancing or improving it. Now, I technically attempted Ocarina of Time first years and years ago, but this was the first true Zelda-style action game I'd played and beaten in one go. First time I played it. Because, originally when I tried Ocarina, I didn't get very far. I got very confused, because there was really no direction of where to go. To me, Darksiders, first one anyway, this one, because the second and third, and from what it looks like the third, are diverging a bit. To me, I thought was the Zelda formula made more accessible to me, because originally I did not get Zelda due to the fact that it didn't really, at the time, I didn't appreciate it because of how it didn't really guide you much. It just said, look over there, figure it out yourself. Whereas this, it gives me a veritable waypoint of where I'm supposed to go and what I'm doing. It shows me, what I have to do, but it does, and then it tells me, carefully, okay, this is what you need, this is what you gotta get, and then it's left for you to figure it out yourself. It's not ultra hand-holding, but it's not super spoon in my mouth easy either. It's somewhere in the nice, healthy middle for me. And having since played those aforementioned Zelda games, I definitely have a greater appreciation for it. For them, especially. And the puzzles, I really do like a lot of the puzzles in Darksiders. The only one that, of course, I don't like is the portal puzzles. It's the Black Throne area, specifically. To me, that is the water temple of this game. And I hated it then, and, well, honestly, I still hate it now. Beyond that one, I like a lot of the level design and the puzzles. Equal part clever or cool in design. The cathedral, the hollows, the spider web, even, and the boss fights, I love them. I like the enemies themselves. They are all cool looking and, well, for the most part, well designed. If a little bit on the somewhat easy side, because I'm going to be honest, there's some bosses that are pretty challenging, especially if you don't know what you're doing at first, like Tiamat, who has her dive bomb attacks. Same with Silitha and her teleporting. And then there's others that are not that hard at all, like the Griever, especially since you run a train into her. And Straga. Straga, I would say, is the easiest out of all of them. He's still cool, though, but he's not that hard, honestly. And then you have the last one, Abaddon, who's really a good end boss, because he's in two phases. One of which you ride around the horse, chasing after him and jousting him. And then you have the one-on-one sword fight with him in the second half of the fight, which of course is epic. And I like that we get little blade clashes here and there. As helpful as dueling is, I wish we had, dodging and dashing, I do appreciate when an action game just goes a little more the extra mile and actually tries to add a little bit of that countering there. Like Ninja Gaiden, Bloodborne, hell, even Devil May Cry 3 tried it with the Royal Guard style. So I like it when an action game tries to at least tries to keep all forms of combat covered, not just, you know, avoid everything. Hell, Bloodborne took countering and parrying into a new level with its visceral attacks. Whereas, granted, I will be fair, I barely dodged throughout Darksiders, but I mostly blame that to rather a somewhat awkward button placement in what is otherwise a stellarly made game. And yeah, the gameplay very much owes itself to Zelda. It really, especially Twilight Princess and Ocarina, at least those are the two I played anyway, that I have for frame of reference, so I can't really compare. I can't really mention Wind Waker or Skyward Sword. Yeah, right down to the widescreen camera lock-on, just like in those games. Hell, I would say that of the two that I've played, I would say it's closer to Twilight Princess in terms of combat. And yeah, it doesn't have, it has only like three main melee weapons: the fist, the scythe, and the sword. The sword of which you arguably use the most. I like that they add in a bit of other weapons there, from the horn to, admittedly, the Abyssal Chain, which is, for all intents and purposes, the hook shot from Zelda. The Mask of Shadows, even the portal gun, as much as I both hate and like it. So there's a good variety covered. I personally would have liked a little more weapon variety as far as melee combat's concerned, but what they give you works. And I like that you can find a lot of those enhancements hidden here and there that changes the overall look of the weapon. Well, not the physical look, but just the aura of the weapon, from flames to blood coming out and all sorts of stuff. And really the only and I don't mean to keep bringing it up, but to everyone that kept comparing this to, oh, there he is, Vernon Wells, that's his name, who plays Samael. Frickin' Bennett. Oh, even Phil Lamar voiced Volcrum. I didn't even notice. He sounds so different. But yeah, when this game came out, everyone kept calling it a God of War clone, God of War clone. Honestly, having played both that and the most recently Twilight Princess, this game is far more similar to Zelda, especially Twilight Princess, than anything else gameplay-wise. Even the quick time events are more in tune with Zelda, because it's just a regular button press, and it doesn't overdraw itself from there. I really wish a lot of finishing quick time event moves in action games just went back to this style, where it's just press one button, maybe the occasional mashing here and there, but nothing turgid and pointless and overblown, like drag the symbol to this circle here for no reason, or press this overdrawn sequence of events, or turn the stick like that. No, like that's not even close what this game has. If anything, I would say the most recent God of War game turned down the amount of quick time events compared to the old games. So yeah, other than the blood and the playing around with mythology here and there, I really don't see the connection. And hell, War. I mean, yeah, there was a comic book prequel where War went berserk, and Death had to chop his left arm off to teach him a lesson. But he's a completely different character too. He's much closer to Ryu Hayabusa in terms of his no nonsense attitude, but with more speaking lines, obviously. Kind of like a giant bulked up Clint Eastwood, like a Harry Callahan, like a Dirty Harry. Yeah, I love him for that. Really, the only, as far as differences between the old version and the Warmastered version, well, there's not really many. I already mentioned the fidelity difference. I noticed, of course, they added in the Death's Harvester Scythe into the game itself to buy from Vulgrim. Originally, it was meant to be a cheat code with the original version that was also marketed as a pre-order code, but that was bullshit because everyone got the form anyway that showed what the code was, and the code was, it wasn't a DLC code, it was a much more classic unlock code. Remember those? Where in the old days you would just put in a code in the option menu and it would unlock a special weapon or skin or level or whatever, before DLCs became so stupidly prominent as they are now, to the point of that developers and publishers rip out completed chunks of the games and sell them as DLC. No, this was like a much more classic unlock, and for whatever reason they pretended it was super rare and secret, and pretty much everyone knew it. It was called the Hollow Lord, and you put that in a code option in the game itself, which unlocked the Death Scythe. Well, they removed that, so you can't do that anymore. Instead, you gotta buy the scythe the old-fashioned way. 5,000 souls. And they also, unfortunately, did not... THQ Nordic, sadly, also did not fix some of the buggier issues with the game. Like, there are times where I would press A to jump when I'd be running towards a ledge, and in some of those instances, I'd press it, nothing would happen. War would just literally run off the cliff into his death. That was a problem back then, and it's one that they never fixed. And the other one, the chest hidden in one of the two buildings in the Drowned Pass, yeah, they never fixed that either. Apparently, it was bugged so that it would only be accessible when you were in the Shadow Realm the first time around, or second time around in that area specific. And if you failed to notice it, which everyone pretty much would the first time around, or like me, yeah, you probably which I forgot about it, and you missed it, well, you're screwed out of luck unless you played the game again on New Game, or New Game Plus, whichever floats your boat. Otherwise, you ain't getting it. So they never fixed that. That's two problems with the game that THQ Nordic, despite many years of people complaining about it, never bothered to fix. I mean, yeah, it's nice that you got it to run better and added some things that people both remove and add things, whether in regards to the scythe, whether you are for or against it, I don't know. With Pick Your Poison, it's still stupid that they didn't fix those problems. And Lord knows whatever they may have did or did not do with Darksiders 2's Definitive Edition, I don't know yet. I'm trying to get that game now so I can head right into it. I sadly don't have it, so if anything, I'll likely end up playing Darksiders 3 before I ever go back to revisiting 2. Odd, I know. I'd have gotten the game long ago had I had a PS4 at the time, but I didn't. And for whatever reason, every used GameStop store I go to has like copies of the box where the boxes are in own shitty condition. And you know, if you know me, you know I prefer things being as close to new as possible, if not at the very least very good. So I'll get it when I get it, I suppose. And it kind of astounds me, too, that they would re-release a remaster of Darksiders 2 before Darksiders 1. Isn't that going backwards? Well, either way, very long-winded review slash thoughts later. For the most part, I definitely did enjoy going back to Darksiders in this Warmastered edition. Not terribly different from how it was 8 years ago, but I do, and they definitely should have fixed some things that were unaddressed then, but for the most part, it's still a solid game. A very, very well put together game, despite everything, even if there were some puzzle elements that I did not like. And, of course, the aforementioned bugs that were fixed. And as a Zelda-type game, one that, at the same time, does its own thing with the whole Four Horsemen mythology and all that. It's both a fun game to not only look at and play, but also a fun one story-wise. And if you've never played the first Darksiders in the previous console generation, go out and get the Warmastered edition right now. I recommend it. It's a good place to start, especially with Darksiders 3 coming up next month. And I finished it just in time for Halloween too. So yeah, that's it for Darksiders Warmastered Edition. Love it still, recommend it still, and I hope you all enjoyed my little revisit to this game. And and to those who are watching it for the first time, I hope those who watched, you got a little showing of what the game is like and why I recommend it. And as of now, that's it for this, and I'm gonna go mule over what games I want to play next, and see where we go from there. So, thank you all for watching, and hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, and subscribe, and comment if you think I deserve it, and I'll be back soon. Glad to come back to this game after so long. So, have a good night, everyone. Peace out. Hope you all enjoyed it. Glad you watched if you did. See y'all later.